Well, thank you for joining us on the program this evening. We turn the spotlight on the African Democratic Congress, a party that has found itself at the center of Nigeria's fast-shifting political conversation. In recent days, the ADC has made headlines for two reasons. Its call on President Tinubu to declare a state of emergency in Katsina and Zamfara over escalating insecurity, as well as the internal controversy surrounding its new leadership and spokesperson. Questions are now being raised about the party's structures, its coalition role, as well as even who legitimately speaks for it. This comes on the heels of the just concluded by-elections, which many saw as a litmus test for the opposition's strength ahead of 2027. While the ruling APC consolidated its grip, the ADC and its coalition allies insist the exercise was marked by violence, voter intimidation, and systemic irregularities. So where does this leave the ADC as an emergent voice of opposition, or as a party still struggling to align its internal machinery with its national ambitions? Joining me tonight to take us beyond the headlines is Bolaji Abdullahi, the party's National Publicity Secretary, who was former Minister of Youth and Sports under President Goodluck Jonathan and one-time National Publicity Secretary of the APC. Mr. Abdullahi, thank you for joining us on Beyond the Headlines.
Thank you very much, and I'm delighted to join you. And I'm delighted you don't introduce me now yet as a factional spokesman.
Well, I am going to leave you guys to decide whether it's factional or not. But I'll just take National Publicity Secretary for now.
Thank you.
Why do we still see what seems a resistance from some quarters of your party? Because some of them are warning you now to stop parading as spokesperson. They labeled it unauthorized and misleading.
You see, I'm sorry to say this, but I say it with all sense of responsibility. I'm a trained journalist, and I take that very seriously. I think the opportunities that we give for everyone to just call, anyone that so desires to just call a press conference, and once he calls a press conference and make any claims, then we take it and begin to go to town with it. And begin to say, oh, there is crisis, oh, there is faction. I think we can do a lot better than that. For example, the individual that came up yesterday, I keep forgetting his name, from Gombe, I think, who claimed to be the national chairman. He wasn't saying anything yesterday other than what he had said several weeks ago. And the question I asked is, how many of our colleagues attended this press briefing, and did they ask him the basis for his claim? Because after he came out the last time I made the claims that he made yesterday again, we showed evidence that he had resigned his position from the party. Then he proceeded to say that his signature was forged, that he actually didn't resign from the party. And we said to him back then, if your signature was forged, that means you are alleging crime. So if crime is committed, if crime was committed and some people actually forged your signature, why didn't you report to the police? Why are you holding press conferences? Why don't you report to the police? Because forgery is a very serious crime. Then he afterwards said, okay, he was going to go to court. Now, the question I expected him to be asked is, your assumption of your claim to the position that you are claiming yourself to be, is it as a result of the court process that you claim you wanted to file? Or what happened? What happened yesterday that made this newsworthy, that made it suddenly possible for you to come and make the kind of claim? He said he had taken over the secretariat of the party. I expect that we'll ask him, which secretariat is he talking about? Because we are still in the process of setting up our secretariat. So which secretariat is he talking about? So all these things, I believe that, I know it's good for the headlines, it's good for content, TV, to say there's crisis, and so people are fighting and all that. But there's no such thing. The process that brought us into the ADC as a coalition was very clear, was very transparent. And we ensured that we followed every single process that we needed to follow. So, but I also know that it has become lucrative at this time for people to come forward and make claims and start saying that after participating in the entire process. So I think that for me, it's not something that bother us. It's not something we are concerned about.
Indeed.
People can continue to amuse themselves whenever way they want. But the unfortunate thing is that we seem to be giving credence to some of these things that are going on. We're not asking the kind of question that we ought to ask.
I like the way you've confidently played it down, but you are also aware of freedom of expression and the fact that journalists need to also hear from all the sides. For instance,
I'm not saying that you black them out or not listen to them. I'm just saying that there are some key questions that will help.
I hear you.
Give greater insight to Nigerians about what is going on.
I hear you, and I understand you
to make claims. Yeah.
Quite clearly. You can be sure that we're also going to hear from that side and take some of the recommended questions as insight. But there's one Christopher Okechukwu who also claims to be spokesman for the same party. According to him, you do not meet the necessary requirements to serve as publicity secretary. The requirement, according to him, requires that you obtain a nomination form, secure nominations from at least 3 party members across the 36 states, including FCT, among others. What exactly legitimizes your claim to this role? Because as we speak now, I checked INEC's website before this interview, and it's still listing certain names. You know, for instance, there is still Chief Ralph Nwosu and Said Baba Abdullahi as chairman and secretary. Does that baffle you? No,
it doesn't. It doesn't, because I can explain to you what is going on. I mean, we are since the last NEC meeting, we've been in conversation with INEC, and some of these things are just merely procedural. I know there is a tendency to think that some kind of conspiracy is going on, or INEC is working against us and all that. We are not going to go down that route. We're a responsible political party. We are not going to just throw allegations around. We don't have any reasons at this time to think that INEC is working against us. The procedures are very clear, and we are doing all that we need to do. You know, when you are making that kind of transition, the process can be a little bit cumbersome. So, and we are going to finalize that, regularize that in the coming days. It's slower than we expected, but it's going to be done. So that's not an issue for us. Then, secondly, you said what process brought me in. There is the highest organ of the party next to the convention is the National Executive Committee of the party, the NEC of the party. I was at the NEC meeting. I was nominated at the NEC meeting, and I was seconded, and I was appointed as the National Public Secretary of the party in interim capacity, and until the next national convention that will do the ratification. So, I mean, this is the same process that brought other people in, because when officers step down, it immediately means that new officers can be appointed into those positions in interim capacity, and it's only the NEC of the party that can do that. And the NEC of the party did that in the presence of INEC officials who ratified everything that we did. So there's no issues about this. I mean, with due respect, I don't think that is something that should detain us unnecessarily. We are very confident of the process that we've taken, but people are free to amuse themselves whichever way they want. I mean, it's not an issue for us. We'll just continue to tell our members that we don't have anything to worry about.
That is how you see it, but I'm sure that as a stakeholder within the ADC, it also matters how the people see it, especially the people you will need to vote for you come 2027. As we speak now,
the one I'm talking to. They're the one I'm talking to. They're the one that I'm appealing to, that they should take. I'm not talking to you. I'm talking to them.
No. You know, there's a way you were saying that it doesn't matter to us. We don't care what they say. As if it really doesn't matter to the people.
I'm saying, yes. I will want to urge you to please show some respect, right? Because when you say I'm doing this, I'm doing that, I'm not doing that. All I'm saying is that we don't have anything to worry about. That the people making these claims, we don't have problems with the process that brought us in, and we're not worried about that. You know, so as far as we are concerned, we're on a good, solid legal footing. And we're just trying to explain to our members that there's nothing to worry about.
But trust me, Mr. Abdullahi, there's no iota of disrespect for you and your party here. And I'm sure that, we're having a very friendly conversation. I was merely dramatizing,
I hope so. When you dramatize it that way,
there's no disrespect at all. But as we speak now, there are questions about spokesperson legitimacy that we've talked about, leadership status, electoral credibility. There are concerns about, isn't this too early for a new coalition? How do you plan to build trust among Nigerians and ensure that ADC is not viewed as unstable or a mere tool of personalities?
But that's exactly the agenda. I mean, the people behind all these shenanigans that you see, what you described is actually the agenda, because when we started the coalition, the ruling party was very clear that we're just wasting our time, that it wasn't going to happen. Then when we eventually announced the coalition on July 2nd, they said, oh, it was dead on arrival. Then several weeks later, they saw the way Nigerians have received the ADC, and the ADC had actually become the de facto opposition party in Nigeria. So we don't expect that the hands that disrupted and unsettled all other opposition political parties are just going to allow us to have a free ride. We envisage all of this, and we are ready for them. So because we know the environment we are coming into, we know we are coming to a hostile political environment that will not allow opposition to thrive. But what we are saying is that a multi-party democracy is better for Nigeria than a one-party democracy. And one-party democracy is only one step to dictatorship. And now that's the justification for the coalition. Now the coalition has taken off. Nigerians have embraced it. And all that we are asking for is for the government and the government operatives who are behind all these things to allow the opposition party to thrive, because it's better for Nigerians. I mean, if they are confident that what they have done is enough for Nigerians to vote for them, then when we arrive at 2027, Nigerians should look at us and say, no, we don't want ADC, we want APC, and go ahead and vote for them. But when you leave people with no option, then you are creating a problem. So, and that's the point we are making. So we are not going to allow ourselves to be distracted by all this, because it's just distraction. And you will see that it's distraction. In the coming days, you'll see that it's distraction.
It doesn't look like a one-party state, though. We had a by-election recently where APC won 12 out of 16. I mean, ABGA and NNPP still got like 4 seats. Your party, the ADC, got nothing. Now, we're going to take a short break. When we return, we'll talk about that and your chances for in 2027. Stay with us, everyone. Bolaji Abdullahi is the National Publicity Secretary of the African Democratic Congress, the ADC. Thank you so much for staying the course on the program. How do you assess the coalition's readiness and strategy following the recent by-elections where the ADC failed to win any of the 16 seats? It was also reported that your party didn't field candidates in most positions. Was that strategic, or a symptom of what some people say that's your party yet to get its internal organization right?
Well, I mean, I agree with you that we still have a lot of work to do. I mean, the party is less than 2 months old as a coalition party. Don't forget, ADC had always existed, but has always existed as one of those fringe parties. So now that it's becoming, to use the football parlance, to come into the Premier League, a lot of things need to be put in place. But we don't think that the by-election, the recent by-election, is a fair reflection of anything, or should be the parameter by which we judge anything. Because many of the candidates we don't even know them. I mean, they had been selected or elected to represent the party before the coalition came in. So for us, it's not a measure of anything, and it's not a reflection of where we are as a political party in terms of acceptability by Nigerians. So we are confident that in subsequent elections you see performance that really reflects what we are capable of and the kind of thing you should expect come 2027. But for the by-election, we are not worried at all. I mean, about that, because much of what has happened, or much of what happened in that election, is not based on what the coalition is able to do. Much of it had happened before we went into the ADC.
I read one of your statements, and I think you described the by-election as banditry disguised as voting. Correct me if I'm wrong. You highlighted issues of violence, vote buying, arrested thugs and what have you. Precisely what reforms are your party recommending ahead of 2027 in this regard?
You see, there's so much that's still wrong with our electoral system. And the good thing is that many of the politicians you see in place today have always been there since 1999. So you can be in a position where you benefit from this today and you may suffer from it tomorrow. So what guarantees fairness to everyone is that we are able to do all that is necessary to give implicit confidence to Nigerians. One is the violence that attends the election on election day is a major issue for many people. It's a major concern, and we saw it play out in some places in the last election where intimidation and all that. The second one is the incidence of vote buying, which itself is a major issue of malpractices in the electoral law. But people carry out vote buying at will. I mean, we have seen cases where people just come and just buy and pay people to vote for them, and I think this is not embarrassing enough. We see people actually flaunting the fact that this is what they did and all that. And the third issue is the issue of transmission of the results itself. So if you are asking me what we need to see, and I'm glad that one of the status of President Goodluck Jonathan said it today, that the chairman of the Independent National Electoral Commission must be independently appointed and must face independent scrutiny before he becomes the chairman. A situation where it's the president of Nigeria that appoints the INEC chairman, it gives disproportionate advantage to the ruling party, because I mean, as a human being, you tend to be loyal or sympathetic to whoever appoints you. So that itself fundamentally erodes the independence of the umpire of the election. So I think that in terms of in terms of what needs to be done, the National Assembly, as Justice Way's panel recommended, the judiciary should supervise the process for the appointment of the INEC chairman to avoid the kind of undue advantage that we're talking about. So the other operational issues, which may not always be because they want to cheat, but also because merely organizing the election is a logistics nightmare. So there are a lot of things that need to be put in place to simplify the process of election and transmission. And there are all kinds of ideas that could be tested ahead of the election. I am confident that technology has got to a level today that it can be fully deployed for the purpose of election, especially in terms of collation of results. But when you hear glitch, INEC said there was a glitch in their system, then the same glitch now has gone around to other sectors as well. So I think these are the things we need to strengthen the infrastructure ahead of the election. Because the most important thing is to give confidence to people and let them be able to say this is a true reflection of what the people voted for.
I like the fact that you're able to elevate your response beyond just criticizing what has happened. And you did acknowledge that with the way some of you have moved within parties in the past 10 years, one system can favor you and also not favor you. Fantastic response. But I want us to quickly touch on something because we have a few minutes to go. Your party has presented itself as the vehicle of a united opposition ahead of 2027. But with both Atiku Abubakar and Peter Obi now openly declaring their intentions to run, I heard that Rotimi Amechi too has officially declared. Many see this as a looming implosion of the coalition before it even takes off. How realistic is it to keep this front together under such competing ambitions?
Well, I mean, it's politics. I mean, when you hear people saying, I would never step down for anybody, it's also a form of negotiation. You understand what I mean? But for us as a political party, we are very clear what we want to do. We're not worried about Alhaji Atiku Abubakar saying he will run, or Peter Obi, Excellency Peter Obi saying he will run, or Amechi saying he will run. We're not worried about that, despite the apparent contradiction in the desires and ambitions of these leaders of the coalition. We believe that when we get to the point where we have to make that decision, will make the right decision in the interest of the party, in the interest of Nigerians, and everybody will fall in line as disciplined party members. Rotimi Amaechi has said it, that regardless of the outcome, as long as it's fair and transparent, he's going to accept it. Peter Obi has said the same thing. So Atiku Abubakar, Alhaji Abdullahi has said the same thing. So for us, we see what the other parties are doing. It's funny the way the APC said, "Oh, they've adopted President Bola Ahmed Tinubu to be their."
But the real question, Mr. Abdullahi, will be that, and I'm sorry for butting in, if neither Atiku nor Obi is willing to step aside, doesn't that reduce the ADC to simply
that's why I said,
being a platform for negotiation?
When you say they are not willing, to step aside, you are also assuming that there have been conversation at the party level that require one person to step aside. There's no such conversation. That's the point I'm making. I mean, and as long as there's no such conversation, individual aspirants can come out to say, I want to run. Until that time, when the party is ready to have that conversation and will begin to decide the direction to go, then you can now begin to say, okay, this person is saying no, this person is saying yes. But for us at this point, it is very clear that what we need to do is to strengthen our party across Nigeria and build the structure that will put us in a competitive form ahead of 2027. When we get to that point where we have a conversation about presidential candidate, we're going to have it.
Yes, we have to go now, but many have questioned that if you take Atiku and Obi away from the ADC, that many of you don't really have electoral value. I mean, quite a number of you have not really won elections before, and there are conversations as to how can your party survive outside these two individuals? How do you respond to that form of criticism?
Why are you taking them out? They are there. They are in the coalition. So why are you taking them out? Have they told you that they will not be in the coalition?
Well,
you're asking me a hypothetical question if they are not there, but they are there. So why are you asking me if they are not there?
The conversation really would be that if you don't get both of them on the same side, then you will lose one of them, and it's
that's what you think. That
makes some political sense, doesn't it?
That's not the way we see it.
So you're saying that the ADC is built around the popularity of just these two individuals, right?
Not exactly so. Not exactly so. You see, the coalition is a movement. And I've told you, I've tried to explain earlier, it's a pity we don't have enough time. I've tried to explain to you that it is the failure or the disruption of other opposition political parties that have driven people into the coalition. Right, and the coalition decided to go into it, and there are so many people. Don't forget the Rotimi Amaechi that you don't consider as a potential contender came second in the APC primaries in 2023. So don't dismiss him. So that I think it's just about Atiku.
Yeah, but the figures are so different that they're like heaven and earth. I think the winner had over 1,000 and he had 200 votes. But it's an interesting conversation.
What I want to assure you is that in the coalition that's in the ADC today, Alhaji Atiku Abubakar is there, Peter Obi is there, Rotimi Amaechi is there, Nasiru El-Rufai is there, and there are so many other people. So the hypothetical question of whether if they were not there, whether we would be in a position to contest election, I think is not valid.
I'm hoping that we'll continue this conversation subsequently as we count down to the big one in 2027. Bolaji Abdullahi, a spokesperson of ADC, or maybe I say one of the spokespersons that we now know. Thank you so much for talking to us on Beyond the Headlines.
Thank you very much.
That's our show today, everyone. Remember, you can watch it again at midnight and 6 a.m. tomorrow. I am Nifemi Oguntoye.